What is up, everybody? Hopefully, you guys can hear me loud and clear. Okay, today's live stream should be pretty good. Put a lot of effort into gathering this content for you guys. I'm excited to go over it with you. So, hopefully, I can keep it together. Those of you who are aware, I've been having a little bit of health issues. Pretty sure it's related to my old hernia surgery. Um, I was told by my doctors then that something like this could happen. It's been happening for a while. I'm pretty sure it's the reason I had that issue when I went camping, where my body seized up. I just don't think my blood was flowing the way it needed to be and wasn't getting um, the vitamins and stuff that it needed from my body being overworked. Whether that's starch or whatever, I don't know what it might be. But I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I'm feeling a lot of pressure, my lower abdomen. So we'll see what's up. But I'll do my best to kind of keep it together for you guys. Welcome to the live stream. Good to see you, Beach Fairy. Hiawatha, thank you for dropping that information. That was actually very interesting. I went and took a look at that book. Mike, I am feeling a lot better. Except I went to the store with my wife right now, and while I was in the car, it seems like somehow the way I was sitting, putting some weird pressure on it. But I'm going to go see the doctor here on Friday. Hopefully he doesn't tell me I have to go back into surgery. Because that sucked. I couldn't walk for like 3 days. Hey, CJ. Hey, that sounds like fun, man. I love vacations with the family. Good to see you, CJK, Patricia Warner, Mike Essery. What's going on? Jill Moser, how are you? Wanda. GP, what up? Leslie, what's going on? TTM, D. D's in the house. Good to see you, D. Joyce, glad you could be here. Vincina, hello. Thank you. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to be drinking espresso or anything like that. I talked to my doctor. That's like my favorite thing in the whole world. He's going to be like, you can't have coffee and you can't have Mary Jane. I'm going to be like, second opinion. And I'm going to storm out. Be like, give me death. Vertigo. Yeah, my brother suffers from vertigo. That's no good. It's like your equilibrium. You got like 2 levels in your ears, and it kind of tells you, where you're at as far as your balance. When that gets all out of whack, if you close your eyes and look up, you get all dizzy and you could fall. It's no joke. Nice. Hey, Jamie. Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm still feeling a little strange though. So if I have to end it abruptly, I might. Getting like tingly hands. You guys ever had that? Vincina says, "Hi, Sleuth. This was the guy, Jimmy B. I was telling you about in the Unraveling podcast." Okay. Yeah, somebody sent me an email with the Unraveling podcast. I can't play it on my live stream, or I would. It's great. I was looking for maybe a transcript of that episode, but I couldn't find anything online. But if I played that, it'd be like an instant copyright strike. Appreciate that, Phil. I mean, I feel fine. I just know that what I am feeling is not right. And it's just kind of a little bit scary. Because I'm pretty sure I know what's causing it. Big Bird says, Sleuth, are you having a panic attack? No, I'm not having a panic attack. I'm literally being strangled by a hernia. My guts are all twisted up and I'm not getting, my blood's not flowing properly. Yeah, that's going to suck. Because what I did is, I don't know if you guys caught my earlier live stream. I had an espresso on an empty stomach, and then shortly after that, I had some issues. Anxiety makes my BP spike and start getting tingling in my hands. I even get chest pains. I don't know why people who suffer from they want everybody to have panic attacks. I get it, guys, but that's not the prognosis here. Pretty sure it's like a mesh migration because my weight has been fluctuating over the last like 10 years, and that's about how long ago my surgery was. I took a Tylenol and it helped. Seemed to thin out my blood a little bit, and then I laid back. But the second I got back in the car and put pressure, like, squatting, well, not squatting, but sitting and you're kind of smashing your stomach, instantly I started feeling like that tingling feeling. And I adjusted the way I was sitting, and I can literally feel the blood just kind of like start flowing. I'm like, oh God. I just have a bad feeling they're going to make me go through surgery again. But I am learning to take things seriously. Yeah. I lived 12 years with 2 hernias and I was lifting furniture. I'm a very stubborn person. And I'm learning to take these things seriously. All right, let's get this going here. I appreciate all your guys' support, but I know there's going to be some new viewers here that are stopping by looking for some information. They don't want to get bored with all this. But I'll keep you guys updated on whatever's going on. Hopefully it's not too serious. Like right now, I feel really good. Yeah, Jamie. It's just a really scary feeling, especially when you know that that's what it might be. Then the doctors kind of scared me when I was leaving when I woke up from surgery. They're like, all right, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to take care of it. And these are the things you need to watch out for. So all the things they told me to watch out for is what I'm experiencing. Thank you, Miss Mala. Yeah, I would literally shove my guts. I had like not to be gross, but I had like a tennis ball size hernia that would stick out. And I would just shove it back in. Boop. And then go right back to work. Like, oh, that's just my guts. I'll just keep an eye on that. No biggie. Okay, so let's get into this. This is how I first heard of James Burke, was this report, and this is an old report. And if you guys can't hear this, please let me know. It's a good overview right here too. Yeah, I probably shouldn't wait till Friday, but I know what triggers it. I can feel like my heart's beating whenever I have caffeine. It's beating and it's not sending my body what it needs. It's like there's a traffic jam. I'm not getting my essential nutrients and vitamins through my bloodstream. Oh, yeah, Christopher Loeb. I got a good one. I got some good interviews for you guys. Hopefully we can make it through. Yes, blood flow is good. And I know it's my hernia because I just went golfing, and before I went golfing, I spent a lot of time on the driving range, and I was fucking crushing them. You know, when you're crushing them with that driver, you just want to keep going. When you see those balls going straight and they're going over, 230, 240, getting up there, you're like, yeah, you just want to, next one's going to be harder, When you're feeling it, you're feeling it. Of course, you're never feeling it on the greens or out on the course. But when you're feeling it out on the driving range, man, you really just start crushing it. And there was nobody out there. I had the whole range to myself. All right, let's take a look here at this. I think this will be a good starting point.
State police. Yeah, there's somebody after me.
The Gilgo Beach murder and
Okay, one thing I want to make clear before we get started is once Shannon Gilbert went missing, this sparked the entire search. And this man, James Burke, was at the head of the investigation. He controlled everything. He was the puppet master. And it all was sparked. So think about it. The same incident that basically led to the arrest of Rex and the discovery of all these bodies is the exact same thing that led to Chief Burke becoming the chief of police. So, the powers that would be, because a lot of these parties out here with these working girls, these sex workers, what we're going to learn from today's live stream is that there was a lot of politicians involved out there, a lot of very powerful people, industry leaders. We know even Rex, I think his company worked on one of the Trump buildings. So, I mean, these guys are dabbling and mixing it up with these very powerful people. And we all know that a lot of these people are really sick, right? We've all seen Eyes Wide Shut. You got all this money, you don't know what to do with it. You start doing weird shit. What do they say? Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, or something like that. I'm sure one of you guys will correct me in the comments, and I appreciate that.
investigation began with this 911 call.
What's your name? Shannon Gilbert.
On May 1st of 2010, sex worker Shannon Gilbert frantically phoned emergency operators as she left a client's house in Oak Beach.
What happened? These people are plotting to kill me. Please, what are you going to do to me?
These people are plotting to kill me, she said. Okay. She goes missing. Her family makes a fuss instantly. Missing persons report, instantaneous. They weren't expecting that. That's what the reason they picked these victims is because they didn't want that. They want these runaways, drug abusers who have given up on having any normal type of life. They're just chasing that high. They want those people. No family looking for them. Nobody's going to notice if they don't show up for a week or two. Until then, it's too late. They can't retrace their footsteps. They have no clue what's going on. But that wasn't the case with Shannon. So as soon as they determined that she was missing and her family made a fuss about it, guess who they put into power? The guy we're going to be discussing today.
Between 2010 and 2011, Gilbert's disappearance prompted 8 months of searching along a stretch of Long Island's South Shore.
Thank you, Cindy.
In December of 2010, investigators still had not found Gilbert, but they made a shocking discovery: the remains of 4 other sex workers, all a short distance from that Oak Beach house. And then,
yet another grim discovery in the beachside brush has stunned Suffolk County detectives. They
7 more sets of remains turned up. It wasn't until December of 2011 that investigators finally located the remains of Gilbert, but they long insisted she was not likely the victim of a serial killer.
It doesn't matter if people think that she's a victim of the Long Island serial killer or not. Something happened to her that night.
During the decade-plus search for a serial killer, the Gilgo Beach investigation has been plagued by infighting and controversy.
I mean, think about it. If there are some people, and it's not the whole police force. All they need is some politicians, right? They don't even need any dirty cops. It only takes a few powerful politicians to make a dirty cop. I mean, have you ever seen $100,000 in cash or something like that? You know, a whole sum of money or just power in general. So he may have not been a corrupt person. He could have been corrupted. But from the things that we hear, he was extremely corrupt and just the man for the job. How are how are they, as killers and serial killers and corrupt politicians, going to continue murdering sex workers if there's going to be this huge investigation? That means all their fun, and believe me, they believe that this is fun. All their fun is over. Well, I got a plan for that, said the corrupt politicians. We're going to put James Burke into power and he's going to handle all that. We can continue doing what we want to do, have our sex parties, do all these things. Um, you know, it sounds like they might even be hunting these girls. We're going to continue doing these things because if there's ever an inquiry, our man James Burke here is going to take care of it. We're under the radar. What investigation?
Even suspicion of police malfeasance. In 2016, James Burke, the former Suffolk County police chief, was sent to prison for assault and obstruction of justice after he beat a man who stole a duffel bag from his truck. That duffel bag contained sex toys, Viagra, and adult pornography. That same year, a former sex worker said Burke once paid her for a sex act at a 2011 house party in Oak Beach, the very neighborhood where sex workers turned up dead in prior.
So we have a witness here that puts James Burke at those parties. So when you hear Shannon screaming, these guys are plotting to kill me, he could have very well been in that home, I believe. Remember, everything you're hearing today is my opinion, mixed with a few facts. But the facts that I have for you, I'll put up on the screen. All the commentary is going to be my opinion. Okay.
Months.
He began to get really aggressive, and he used the term that I was not a good whore.
Burke's attorney has vigorously denied those allegations, but victims' families have consistently criticized the Suffolk police for failing to share evidence with the public and with the FBI.
This investigation, every day, we are making real progress.
Last year, new Suffolk County Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison announced a revamped Gilgo task force and a comprehensive review of the case. Under that review,
so when Burke got arrested, they kind of started sniffing around. They're like, okay, this explains a lot. This guy's a creep. You know, he may have had his thumb on this investigation, you know. And from what I've learned is he kicked the FBI out, he pushed them out, and basically did absolutely nothing with the investigation. So when he gets arrested, and come to find out, it involves sex workers, rumors of sex workers, parties near where the crime scene happened. I mean, that's when they really started to open their eyes and say, hey, this might explain why this case has gone unsolved. And we do that with so many of the other cases we cover. You know, it leads to corruption. You just don't understand how something with so much information, you know, like the Delphi case, the Evansdale case, all this information, how are they not catching these people? Well, the first thing my mind goes to is, well, somebody's got their thumb on the damn file. You know, I can't let you see that. Or we got that handled, or we don't need that help, or you don't need to run down that lead. You know, we've looked at that. Stuff like that, just kind of hindering the entire case. And that's what it seems like this guy was doing.
Investigators went back to an original witness statement in the disappearance of victim Amber Costello. That witness saw a Chevy Avalanche believed to be driven by the killer. Police say that vehicle, burner cell phone records, and DNA found in a pizza box all link Rex Heuermann to the killing.
And they believe that James may have sat on that information. Remember, the guy was Amber Lynn Costello's roommate. You remember this short video that I made about that situation where Rex Heuermann contacted Amber and set up a date with her. He came over, paid her up front, and then before they could complete the act, in comes her roommate playing the part, you know, of the upset boyfriend or whatever, and kind of tussled with Rex. And Rex Heuermann was probably like, I don't want any of this problem. Leave. Contacted Amber Lynn Costello later on, saying like, basically, I have a credit with you. And the day that she went missing, I'm assuming that's when he came calling to collect.
Rex Heuermann is a demon that walks among us, a predator that ruined families.
One of many.
Unanswered in
I
all
think.
of this, why it took more than a decade to link the Chevy Avalanche to Rex Heuermann, and why those sophisticated DNA tests on the hairs were done only last year. At a news conference, the Suffolk County District Attorney said earlier in this case there had been outside influence on investigators, but he didn't specify exactly what that means. Chris Glorioso, News 4, New York.
That was a pretty good summary. All right. And here's an article I pulled by Kunal Day. Kunal Day? So who is James Burke? Authorities address speculation about disgraced ex-police chief ties to Gilbert murders probe. Now, this is something that was put out recently on the 16th of this month. All right. Suffolk Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison has dismissed speculation linking disgraced former chief of department James Burke to the Gilgo murder investigation, stating that it is a disservice to the ongoing 11-year-old serial murder investigation. In an interview, Harrison assured the public that there was no cover-up in the case, as per Pix 11 News. Yeah, I feel bad for the people who are actually fighting for justice. I wonder if they're getting pushback from the politicians. But there's an interview here that we're going to hear from a great journalist, and she talks about how she thinks the reason things changed is because some term limits were on some of these really shady politicians, and they're no longer in office. She says as soon as those terms were up, it seems like things began to change. So the plot thickens. Yeah, I'm going to try. I'm already feeling kind of crazy. Might have to shorten this up a little bit. Maybe I'll just play all the videos. I don't think I can read any of this. I'm like short of breath. That's all I need to do is kill over on the damn live stream.
Grace for the former chief of department for the Suffolk County Police. The highly decorated veteran officer admitted to roughing up a suspect and covering it up. CBS 2's Carolyn Gussoff has the new information from federal courts on Long Island.
He acknowledges his lack of judgment and his failure in leadership.
Suffolk County's former top uniformed cop pleading guilty. Former Chief James Burke admitting in a strong voice in federal court he, quote, willfully used unreasonable force and slapped and hit a suspect, then conspired to cover it up.
He realized the mistake he's made and he's owned.
Yeah, I think the guy who stole his bag actually took photos of all the stuff that was inside the bag. He's like, nobody's going to believe me. So when law enforcement finally came and arrested the guy who stole James's bag out of the back of his police car, a police issued vehicle, better, they went and they destroyed all the evidence. Now, I guess there was multiple police officers that were present as well.
Up to it, and he wants to get it past him, and he wants the Suffolk County Police Department to get past it as well so they can go back and do the good work they do.
It's outrageous and it's sad.
Vindication, says the attorney for Christopher Loeb.
The days of the corruption, the cover-ups, the abuse of power in Suffolk are over.
Burke now admits he beat Loeb, a burglary suspect who stole a duffel from Burke's SUV. The duffel contained the chief's gun belt, but also claimed Loeb, porn, and sex toys.
Every time I ask for a lawyer, I got hit again. I got hit again. I got choked. I got choked. I got punched. I got slapped. I got kicked.
Chained and defenseless, his civil rights violated. The cover-up, 11 cops asked to lie to a grand jury. Under the plea deal, Burke will serve up to 51 months, a fraction of the 30 years he faced. His crashing fall from grace has countywide implications. Legislator Robert Trotta calling for resignations.
Yeah, that is a weird excuse. Beach Fairy says, yeah, apparently he said the cadaver dogs who don't like it in the winter. What the?
The county executive and DA.
They're responsible for putting him in this position. It was common knowledge that that type of activity was going on. And this is going to cost the taxpayers a lot of money in lawsuits.
Hinting another shoe may drop, the U.S. attorney said the investigation's ongoing. Burke is not, his attorneys say, cooperating with federal officials to bring down anyone else. In Hauppauge, Long Island, Carolyn Gussoff, CBS 2 News.
Yeah, imagine what that guy went through. Like, yeah, I understand you shouldn't go around stealing things. But in America, you know, they've decided what your punishment is. You're going to go to court and you're going to sit in front of a judge or a jury of your peers, and they're going to decide your punishment. You know, it's not going to be some crooked cop mad that you stole his late night rendezvous bag. I don't know. Apparently he got in trouble for having intercourse inside of his police vehicle while on duty with sex workers. Like, what the fuck? Thank you, Judy B. You may have a strangulated hernia, Sleuth. Serious, please get it checked out. I will. If it gets worse, I'm gonna go to the emergency room tomorrow. But I want to give a shout out to Cindy Lean and Judy B for sponsoring today's live stream. Hopefully we can get in a little bit more time. If I start feeling too crazy, I'm going to get out of here. Yeah, Truffles, definitely a sicko. But imagine the sickos that put him into power. Because he didn't come into play, really, as the puppeteer, in my opinion, is what I like to call him or think of him as, until the politicians put him there. So, I mean, Rex could very well just be responsible for those few, or maybe even just helping to cover him up, or even helping to set up, you know, these kill parties or whatever. Because there was one sex worker who actually came forward and said that that's what they do. They have kill parties. Yeah, good point, Digital. So Shannon, I think, went missing September of 2010. And it was less than a year, I believe, that they put him into power. But it was her going missing and all of that sparking the search, and all of that is what, you know, what sparked them to put him in charge and head of the investigation. So imagine the community. You're living in fear. Imagine being a sex worker at that time. You're like, now what do? I can't do what I normally do. And the entire time, one of the people who is participating in the murders potentially is in charge of the justice. And people always say, hey, you got to stay away from conspiracies and all of that. But what do you say in this situation? This is potentially a vast conspiracy. To me, it makes me wonder how a lot of these other cases go unsolved. You know, you got the politicians who can protect you at the very top, putting corrupt people in positions of power so that they can cover everything up. And then they can just go about your business. So when they're sitting there at a kill party and you got some politician saying, well, I don't want to do this, you guys were going to get caught. Who's going to catch you? In walks James Burke wearing some weird, crazy shit, ready to participate in the kill or something, hypothetically, of course. Yeah, we're going to cut this one short. Let me play maybe 2 more videos. It's starting to feel a little bit weird. Here, let me go to these two here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, state senator got involved here.
Police have spent more than a decade
It's kind of low.
investigating the Gilgo Beach murders.
Well, now State Senator Phil Boyle wants to find out.
Police have spent
I hope you guys can hear this. When I recorded it, it was very low.
more than a decade investigating the Gilgo Beach murders.
Well, now State Senator Phil Boyle wants to find out if New York Attorney General Letitia James is going to name a special prosecutor to look at the early days of this investigation.
There are far too many conflicts and questions that are still in place 10 years later, and people want to know, the residents of Suffolk County, the residents of New York, and the residents of the United States need to know that everything that could be done was done to try and get justice for these victims and their families.
Pix 11's Mary Murphy has been following this case since the very beginning when police found the first victim's remains. So it's good to see you in person, Mary, and right here on the morning show.
Yeah, she's good.
So, Mary, you have been following this story ever since the beginning. Why? What are some of the reasons you think now that this senator in particular is calling for this investigation at this point in time?
Well, we were trying to figure that out when we went out to Oak Beach, to the shoreline. And Oak Beach is very significant in this investigation because that's where a party was held back in May of 2010. And Shannon Gilbert ran frantically from a house on Oak Beach. And she's the one who sort of initiated, her disappearance initiated this investigation. And 6 months later, they found the first bodies in December 2010, total of 10 sets of remains. Now, what really stood out to me yesterday was that this state senator, Phil Boyle, was slamming the county executive, Steve Ballone. He's the one who appointed James Burke as the chief of department.
Steve Ballone. So he's going to be the next person that we look into.
In late 2011. And then Burke sort of kicked the FBI out of the investigation into Gilgo Beach. Now, the remains were found along Ocean Parkway, Gilgo Beach, Oak Beach, Jones Beach, and they actually date back the remains to 1996. So that's 25 years ago, although we didn't know about this serial killer case until 2010.
Right. And as you mentioned, the senator was really focusing on those two people.
He was focusing a lot on the county executive,
Right.
who really hasn't been talked about much in this investigation. And there was a woman there at this press conference who's a nurse on Long Island. Her ex-husband is an attorney out in Suffolk County. And she told me that she's been talked to 4 times by the FBI since 2016 in Central Islip about her ex-husband and his relationship with politicians.
Are you hearing this? So there's ex-wives of these politicians coming forward saying there is some kind of investigation going on. So I think a lot of times there might be a lot going on with the FBI, but they're not going to tell us until the dam breaks, right? So they may be looking at a vast conspiracy here. And it seems like they finally have people in positions of power to run this investigation the way it should. Let's hope the powers that be don't take that away. We all saw what happened to Epstein, right?
On Long Island and trips to Atlantic City. And, you know, there were 4 prostitutes found in Atlantic City dead in 2006.
All of this very interesting here. Now, you did reach out to Steve Ballone. Did you hear from him or about the allegations that were made?
Yes, you know, he said this is a political charade. Now, Phil Boyle is a Republican. Steve Ballone is a Democrat, but he's term limited. He can't run again after 12 years. But another thing that came up, and it's actually been reported on
And that's when things began to turn for the better.
Newsday. The former county executive, Stephen Levy, he was very popular. He was supposed to run again for re-election back in 2011. And apparently he was threatened with some kind of an investigation into his fundraising. And one of his aides may have been sort of blackmailed that something about his personal life might come out. All of a sudden, Steve Levy was out of the race. Ballone ended up getting elected, puts Chief Burke as the chief of department, the highest ranking.
I think it's very scary to think about the way the mind of a serial killer works. A lot of them try to get into positions of power, become a police officer, a lawyer or something. I mean, what if some of these guys are already born into a really great situation where they have references and things like that just from their family connections, but they just happen to be a psychopath? You know, they're going to want to pursue a position of power. And that's really scary. If you're in a position of power and you're the guy who's in charge of hiring, the police chief, commissioners, or whatever, well, I think commissioners are voted in. But people like that. And if you're a psychopath, you're going to hire people that are out here doing this weird shit with you, in my opinion.
Uniformed officer in Suffolk County. This despite the fact that in the 1990s, there was an internal affairs investigation about Burke showing that, he had sex in his police vehicle with prostitutes, that he used drugs. There's a lot out there.
This is a tangled web, and you really got to follow it closely to connect the dots here. And the
Yes.
web itself, though, is full of conspiracy theories. So
Yes.
did the senator say anything about that? Did he address any of those?
Well, he just seems to think that there are a lot of relationships here, political relationships, and perhaps one person is protecting another. And there is a person on Oak Beach who is a close friend of Steve.
Yeah, GP, effing sick, human hunting parties. Like, this is something that you would go buy a ticket for. Like, hey, you guys want to go watch a really scary movie? Yeah, it's about these politicians, right? They put people in positions of power so they can continue doing their serial murders. And then they hunt these women. This is going to be one of the scariest movies ever. Oh, by the way, it's not a movie. It's really happening.
Alone dating back to childhood. And the state senator said that there were parties in this man's house on Oak Beach and that James Burke might have attended these parties. So there's really new stuff that I learned yesterday and stuff I want to dig into.
Well, and we know you
There's
will.
a lot more to come on
and
this,
the Bologna
clearly.
stuff is new, and there just seems to be, if you connect all those dots, there's this ring of protection after 10 years or 25 years, really.
Yeah.
That there is just seems to be somebody who knows something.
Well, what Phil Boyle said yesterday was it took them 10 years to put out the belt, the black belt with the initials on it.
Right.
And he said, is it going to take another 10 years to get the buckle?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mary, thank you so much. By the way, good to see you here. Police have spent more than a
Crazy.
decade.
That's a good point. I thought it had the buckle. But yeah, I like that lady. Cindy says there are conspiracies. Don't trust yourself with no backwoods Southern lawyer. One day I'll call in, tell about the 4-hour phone call I had about that nasty F responding to Steffa. Sleuth, what are your symptoms? I'm a nurse, by the way. Well, it seems at certain points when I lay flat, I'm fine. But if I have, like this morning, I didn't eat breakfast. I just totally forgot. And I had a lot of caffeine. I had like half a cup of coffee and then a triple shot of espresso. And I didn't eat after that. And I was like, I went for a drive with my wife. And I was like, whoa, I'm feeling really weird. She's like, what's wrong? I was like, I feel like something's going on with my hernia. I feel like I'm having like blood circulation issues. I started getting tingly in my fingertips. And then when I would lean over to my left where I felt less pressure, I could feel the blood again kind of start to rush through. Kind of like when I do that right now. I put all my weight on my left side and I can feel like more of a flow. So it's when I sit down, I think my bony ass is either sitting on an artery or so. I don't know what's going on, but even when I try to go to the restroom, there's like a little bit of pressure there. And every once in a while I get like a sharp pain. I'm almost certain it's my hernia. And I'm hoping that they just say, hey, well, if you change your diet or if you do this, this or that, or we have some medication for you, it's temporary. It might help with what's going on. That's what I'm hoping for. So I don't know if that helps. And I could be completely wrong. It could be something else. But I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we're gonna do a little dive into him. I'm gonna try to follow this rabbit hole. Yeah, whoever put James Burke in power is the real puppet master, in my opinion. That's the guy who was really afraid. When they found Shannon and those other 4 bodies, that politician, whoever he was, whoever that group was, they started shaking. They're like, oh shit. And right, you don't become a politician, a psychotic politician for no reason. The whole purpose is to cover up your crimes, I'm assuming. True crime and other stuff. Shannon Gilbert called 911 and said they are after me. You can hear other voices. Yeah, I swear. Well, I can't swear because it's hard to tell with that New York accent. But if you listen to some of the enhanced audio, you can hear other voices in the background, very similar to Rex Heuermann. Yep, opening up a can of worms. Good to see you, R-Whip. Thanks for your kind words earlier as well. I appreciate that. I really do. Yeah, she didn't need to be scripted. She knows what the hell she's talking about. I'm going to try to find some more information on her. Well, let's keep it moving, guys. Looks like this live stream went from 2 hours to 1 hour. But no big deal. I guess health comes first, right? This is where it gets
Information
interesting.
on a serial killer mystery we've been following on Happening Now for several years. The attorney for the family of a New Jersey escort who was strangled to death in 2010 says a disgraced police official may have connections to 10 of 17 women who are believed to have been murdered by this so-called serial killer on Long Island. The bodies of these women were discovered in an area of Gilgo Beach after officials started searching for one of the women, Shannon Gilbert. Josh Zeman is a documentarian, an investigator, director of The Killing Season, which we want to mention is now available on Amazon, where you research in depth.
Yeah, I'm going to watch The Killing Season today as well. Maybe you guys can watch it and we'll start like a little book club or something.
What happened to these women? And so now we have this twist and turn to the case. And so our viewers can catch up on Amazon if they'd like to see the story up to this point. Tell us a little bit about this police official and why suddenly he's back in the news in regard to this case.
Well, James Burke had been the former chief of police. He was eventually arrested, sentenced to 46 months for violating a guy's rights who broke into his car and found.
Yeah, we heard about this person. The guy who asked for a lawyer and would get punched in the face. Radar, yep, exactly. There's freak movies like that, but reality too. Yeah, and I think anything our imagination can think of, I think if you're in more of a position of power, you can make those sick fantasies become reality.
What's called nasty porn. He goes away, and now basically a sex worker tweeted us a couple days ago, says, I have some new information. Allegedly, she says that she had sex with James Burke in Oak Beach, which is literally 4 miles from where all these bodies were found, basically 5 months after it happened. So we really have to question what's going on here.
And just to set the scene for our viewers, we
I
also
definitely
went out a few
subscribe
years
to
ago
that.
just to look at this area. It's an extremely desolate area. There's not a lot of residents there, although there are some homes. And so we're seeing some of the bramble, if you will, alongside of the road where some of these bodies were discovered. So the FBI at a certain point here, Josh, got involved with the investigation, but they weren't.
R-Whip says new information in South Carolina about a missing girl from Sumter. Eyewitness saw her getting into a vehicle with Rex Heuermann. Gosh. Yeah, that can't be good. And it seems like there could only be one thing that would make these guys so bold, is having powerful friends.
Always involved with the investigation, and a lot of that had to do with this police chief that is now being questioned.
Right.
Talk to us about that.
Well, what happened was, and in fact, we know that this former police chief and the DA prevented the FBI from kind of coming back into the case. The detectives had asked for more help, and they said, we don't need it. Now we're kind of asking why. Why didn't they want the FBI to come in? And the idea is that basically the police chief.
R-Whip, is Hackett, is that the homeowner from where the location where Shannon Gilbert was just before she took off and was found dead? No, yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, it's just an empty stomach. You know, that happens to me often. And I did eat. I just felt like I got my blood pressure up real high from the caffeine, and my blood couldn't go anywhere. It was like it was hitting a roadblock, is what it felt like.
Maybe the DA didn't want the FBI kind of looking at their nefarious behavior.
And in the past, they said, oh, well, that's because obviously of this pornography.
Right.
Or this is something that was going
Thank you,
that they were
Perry.
trying to hide from the FBI. They didn't want the FBI around because of that.
Right.
But now, Josh, what do you think? Do you think they didn't want the FBI around because they're connected in some way to these murders?
I mean, the allegation is that they're
Support with Steph. It says, this sounds like a possibly cardiac because of the tingling fingers. Probably shouldn't wait until tomorrow. Just my opinion. Yeah, I'll see. If things don't get better, I'm going to take it real easy. As soon as we finish up here, I'm just going to go lay in the bed and watch some First 48. That's what I did earlier, and it felt good.
must be some connection. And they haven't released Shannon Gilbert's 911 call, in which people speculate maybe she's kind of referring to a police official on the tape, saying either that's the person who's trying to kill her, or asking, like, get this
And
person.
what's your understanding? Because this 911 call is long. It's not like it's a 911 call that's 30 seconds.
Yeah, no mention of Michael Pack. I mean, where do you think Burke was getting his working girls from? The sex worker he was probably getting were through that Michael Pack guy. Or he would just maybe get them through the jail. Like, I'll do you a favor, or I'll give you a break or something.
It's
20 minutes?
Yeah, 23 minutes long.
So what, I mean, you've obviously asked for the 911 tapes. What are you told when you ask for them?
We're told they're part of evidence, and we keep saying, and as does Shannon Gilbert's estate lawyer, John Ray, saying that we need to know what's on these tapes. At this point, it's a public safety issue.
Absolutely, especially if the killer is still out there. And some have alleged, as we had did our own little investigation, if you will.
Oh, sorry, guys. Thank you, D. Got a super sticker. So we got Cindy. She's telling you guys you need to hit the like button, because if you don't, that means that you're a scrub. And those are facts. I didn't make the rules on that, but it is true. Judy, $10 super chat. And that's what I think it is, a strangulated herniated. Yeah, strangulated hernia. D with the super sticker. Thank you, D. It's awesome. And please go tonight, darling. Worst case, you'll have a cup of stiff jello in the head. I mean, I'm good. They're not going to do anything for me there. You know, I need to see my doctor. I need to get a recommendation is what I need. They're not going to be able to do that today. Thank you guys for sponsoring today's live stream. I appreciate that.
So they said, well, this is just a coincidence. This is an area where there's bodies that can be easily dumped.
Not a recommendation. I need a referral.
And there's these areas in every city. I mean, it sounds strange, doesn't it? But that's what we were told when we asked some questions.
Sure.
Now there's some more information, though, with certain body parts that have been found. And if you can summarize that,
right,
Josh, because there's another twist as well.
Right. So one of the last things we were doing as we were wrapping up the series was we wanted to get this one body known as Jane Doe.
That's a good question. I had the answer to that, true crime and other stuff. Autopsy, was there drugs? No drugs were found, right? That I can't tell you. Can't remember that one off the top right now.
Number 3, this one victim into NamUs, which is this public database, so that basically people out there might be able to identify who she is. In asking the Nassau County Medical Examiner's Office to put this record in, they were forced to release that this individual is linked to a torso found in 1997 in Hempstead, which is like 40 miles away.
Wow. So does that mean whoever killed her has been on the loose since 1997?
Actually, 1996, because we know that there's another pair of severed legs that were found on Fire Island. We didn't know if that case was actually connected, but now knowing that we have this DNA match to a torso in 97, we know that they're all connected. And so we also know that the Suffolk County PD and the Nassau County PD knew that there was this connection for at least a year and a half.
Jesus.
So why didn't they tell anybody?
There's some interesting questions.
I like this guy.
Yeah.
I'm going to go watch his stuff after this, I think. Cindy, Michael Pack is the driver for Shannon Gilbert. You know, he's the guy you can hear in the background saying, I don't even know this guy. But then the guy turns around and calls him Mike. Yeah, everything else I have is articles. I'll save that for I'll call this part 1 and we'll hang out and read all those articles in part 2 when I'm feeling better. I might need to take a little break. And this is very recent. So he definitely looks different. I think he was released from prison in 2018. He definitely looks skinnier and in more better shape. What's he got there? Some Crown Royal? Or something in a Crown Royal bag? I like those bags. So where I keep my golf balls. It's weird. He kind of looks younger than he did before. Thank you, GP. I will. Man, I was so stoked today, too. I had 3 live streams set up, ready to go. Oh, man. Toy Airy. If it is strangulated hernia, they will admit to fix it if it's bad enough. My son went in with that twice and both times had surgery by morning. Yeah, see, that's why I've been putting it off. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to go in there on Friday. And I'm not, and I'm staying. But I need a referral. You know, they need to refer me first. And then they'll send it over to a surgeon. The last guy I had was really good. All right, guys, that's going to pretty much do it for today's live stream. Sorry, we're cutting it short. We'll do a part 2 to this when I'm feeling better. We'll hang out here for another maybe 5-10 minutes. Get an idea what's going on here in the chat. Yeah, I think you can. True crime. I think you can do it through the hair. And I'm sure you can do it. I'm sure there's still fluids and stuff there, but I'm not sure. I'm assuming you could. Some things maybe not. I'd like to see that beach. What up, Sunken? How you doing? Spicy Cappy. Shannon was just a skeleton when they found her, so I don't believe they were able to test for drugs. Yeah, if I had to guess, it'd be hair. But I'm not sure. Maybe they can't. Radar says the doctor that medicated her should have been charged. Yeah, what the hell was going on? All those people at that little party should have been charged. I mean, except for, well, maybe even her driver. Technically, he's like a pimp. They might call him a driver, but I mean, come on. No, it's all good, our whip. I'm pretty sure I know what it is. I'm just afraid of going back under the knife. It's going to put me on my ass for 3 days. I'm not looking forward to that. But I'm pretty sure if I don't take care of it, it's going to kill me. Pretty sure my wife wouldn't like that. No, Judy, there's no bulge. Like there's it's not protruding or anything. Something going on inside the stomach. Like it's not herniated. The mesh is still holding everything together and feels fine. It's something going on inside there. Things got a little twisted up. Because I lost a lot of weight recently. And I've been doing sit-ups and push-ups and hitting the punching bag. And like I feel in really great shape. So I knew it wasn't like cholesterol or any of that shit. Because I've been eating really good too. So I feel healthy. I just feel like I have instances where I'm being strangled. Thank you, our whip. Appreciate all your good feedback and input in the chat. Thank you so much. And everybody who's hanging out, hit the like button on your way out. We're going to get out of here in about 4 minutes. Yeah, that's a good point. But the hair won't tell about that night. Yeah, I don't think they could pinpoint it, right? Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate you, Jari. Yeah, and if I feel okay in the morning, I'll hang out for a little bit. I just can't be reading like 10 articles like I like to. I like to read when I do live streams because I don't fall asleep. I can actually read the entire thing, you know? So I like it. If I open up a book, like my wife, she read 2 books already, like this month. She's already on a 3rd one. Me, I sit down and try to read a book. I can't read fiction. I need like nonfiction, informational type books. So if it's too boring, I try to push through it so I can gather all the information. But before I know it, 1 chapter's gone and I'm ready for bed. If I can't sleep, that's what I do. I'll just pull open a book before you know it, I'm out cold. Thank you, our whip. Appreciate that. I don't think he split the money with her. I'm not sure. His story is, and we can watch that real quick. Let's take a look. I believe this is from Lisk Podcast. They've been covering this case extensively. I found them through Twitter, and I highly recommend it. I mean, they've been covering this case and have all of the information from the very beginning. And we'll end on this one. So this is an interview that the Lisk Podcast did with Michael Pack, the driver that can be heard in the Shannon Gilbert 911 call. And he admitted to driving her out there and searching for her. I don't believe a word he says.
The car that I drove Shannon in that night to Burr's house. I think Shannon texted me around 4 p.m. to pick her up in Midtown around 8 p.m. So she was kind of in a state that day. She said she needed to pay rent and she needed money.
So that's his story. Oh, she just came up to me and said, hey, you know, I need to make some money. I got some bills to pay. And he was like, oh, okay. Perfect victim, right? Perfect victim. Oh, there's this high paying gig out here, the middle of nowhere. It's just what you're looking for.
Even though that area in Long Beach on Long Island was far away, it was a lucrative job compared to most jobs. I was looking for Shannon that night on a night much darker than this with no street lights. They had no street lights there. And all I could see was from my headlights. Yeah, I was driving in an unfamiliar territory looking for Shannon, but I I didn't even really think about that. I was just trying to find her.
The car that I drove.
So that's Michael Pack. All right, guys. We made it through a full hour. And I didn't kill over and die, but I'm going to go take it easy. Esophagus issues? I don't know. I don't think it has anything to do with like my thyroid or was it lymph nodes or whatever those things are called? But we're going to find out. We're going to get to the bottom of it. Could be the mesh. Yeah, I feel like it might be migrating. Because there was a point when I stopped working at my friend's furniture store. I used to go do a lot of extra work over there for extra cash. And when I stopped doing that and I went back and started doing all my office work and shit like that, meetings and bullshit like that, I gained like 30 pounds. Got this panza. It was just sticking out of this beer belly type looking thing, you know. And I got rid of it pretty much. I have a feeling that during that process something happened. You know, those cheesy commercials. Mesh migration. I don't know if you guys get those where you're at. Might be what's going on. We'll see. But if you guys could hit that like button on the way out, I'll keep you guys posted on what's going on with me and my crazy health issues. I'm sure it's nothing. It's just some surgery I'm going to have to go to that I don't want to. No, I don't have bad acid reflux. I used to, but I changed my diet. I don't eat a lot of spicy food. Now, the only thing that really gives me like indigestion, that heartburn, whatever, is like tuna fish and certain bread. I don't know what the hell that's all about. Yeah, he may have gotten paid. I have no clue. But I feel like he's part of it. You know, certain girls, let's say somebody comes to him and they're like, hey, we're looking for a girl. You know the type that we're looking for. You know, addicted to drugs, no real contact with their family. Somebody that, nobody would call if they went missing. Let us know when you find something like that. Tell us, But anyway, guys, on that note, I got to get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your night, and I'll see you soon. Take care.